What is up, dudes and lady dudes? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today, I'm doing a little discussion video about Plunder Patrol. Now, this is a new deck coming out in Ignition Assault in 4 days. It's actually not even out yet, and maybe you may say, John, you too early. What are you doing, you goof? You big silly goof? And I say, yeah, maybe, but this is a deck I'm really excited for as is, and I just want to talk about it. I've been looking for stuff to talk to. I haven't got a ton of news lately, and so this is something that I was really excited to talk to, and I want to bring a discussion to you guys because I know this is actually a pretty hyped up deck coming into it. Now, I know right now it's not everything. It's not all that in a box of chocolates, but we already have more support confirmed for Plunder Patrol, so that's not the biggest deal. We know there's more coming. Hopefully that will get it to the point we think it can get to, because I think there's a huge amount of potential here. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Here, if you don't know what Plunder Patrols aim to do, right now we have 2 main deck monsters, a spell, a trap, and 3 extra monsters, including a... Oh, did I get these all? Oh, there we go. Let's move these like that. There we go. We've got a Link, an Xyz, and a Synchro, which is kind of weird. Not a lot of decks have different types like that in their extra deck, but this deck is very unique because both of its main deck monsters, Redbeard and Whitebeard, have the same effect, which is a quick effect on your opponent's turn, where you can special summon a Plunder Patrol extra deck monster straight from the extra deck without any materials or anything, as long as it matches the attribute of a monster they have on field or in their graveyard. That's it. Very easy summoning conditions, and then they proceed to equip themselves immediately to that extra deck monster, which also matters a lot as well. So it's just, that's like so strong as is. Whitebeard's also a tuner. Redbeard is not. Whitebeard also has an effect where if he is sent from the monster zone or the hand to the graveyard, he'll special summon another Plunder Patrol straight from the deck, which is very strong as well. Very strong float. And then Redbeard has a way to equip himself if he's sent, same thing, if he's sent from hand or field to the graveyard, monster zone to the graveyard specifically, he can equip himself to a Plunder Patrol monster you control, which is pretty nice. Not only that, but they also have an insanely good field spell. This field spell is so good. It gives every Plunder Patrol monster a 500 attack boost for every Plunder Patrol card in the spell and trap zone. So that could be the continuous trap that stays there. Plus, it could be a Plunder Patrol that's equipped to something. So that could be an 1,000 boost, which is actually really good because their monsters are already like knocking on the door, right? Like this guy's 1,500, he becomes 25 just by himself. 2,000 for this guy, he's a beater. And you're not even really looking at those mainly. The main effect for this thing, though, is that you can discard any card from hand to add any Plunder Patrol card from deck to hand. Insanely strong. Remember, Whitebeard and Redbeard, when set from hand to the graveyard, also get float effects. Very nice. It makes like Danger's able to pop off on discard, which is so strong. Really, really good. And the last effect is actually really nice as well. If it's in your graveyard, you can target a Plunder Patrol card in your spell and trap zone, set this card, and if you do, return the card to the hand. You don't even have to send it to the graveyard. You don't even lose it. You just get it back to the hand. Like, you know how good that is to just like bounce one of your equipped like monsters to your hand, and then you have it summoned for the turn? Or you could even discard them for the turn. Like, gosh, so strong. This card is so strong for sure. And then this card's very nice as well. It lets you declare an attribute, then target a monster your opponent controls. It becomes that attribute to the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field, and you can take one Plunder Patrol monster from your graveyard and either shuffle it into the deck or special summon it. Also, if during the end phase, if you control no Plunder Patrol monsters, you have to send it to the graveyard. So there are ways for you to lose it, but most of the time it's going to be very, very good. The reason this card is so good is because of their mechanic. You may say, John, it relies too much on your opponent. Like, depending on what your opponent's playing, you may not be very good. You may not be able to get either the one you want or a good one at all. Because right now we only have 3 different attributes. We don't even cover the whole array of attributes. What happens if you play a wind-based deck? Not very likely. What if you play a light-based deck? We don't have that. What if you play an earth-based deck, right? Not also pretty likely. Or not so unlikely, right? Earth and light fairly, used are attributes in the game. So this is very nice to just kind of force your opponent to control a card, a monster of the right attribute you're looking for. There, so that's really, really good. And then for the extra monsters, you've got the Link in Blackbeard. He's a Link 2. He takes any 2 monsters as long as one is a Plunder Patrol. It's pretty nice and kind of generic. He has a quick effect that lets you target an effect monster you control. Special summon a Plunder Patrol from your extra deck with the same attribute, same thing as your monster, as your opponent controls or is in their graveyard. Then you get to equip the monster you target originally to it. Which is very good. One thing that's nice for this guy is he doesn't have to activate on your opponent's turn. The main deck monsters can only trigger on your opponent's turn. He can trigger on his on your turn as well, which is very nice. And then you also get to draw a card after that, which is very nice. Just resource-wise, drawing's good. And then Mark and Bran actually do kind of the same exact thing, where Moark lets you discard a Plunder Patrol card to target an effect monster your opponent controls, banish it, then add a Plunder Patrol spell or trap. Bran does the exact opposite, but also the same. You can discard a Plunder Patrol card to target a spell and trap your opponent controls, banish it, and if you do, you can add a Plunder Patrol monster from deck to hand. And they also both become quick effects if they are equipped with a Plunder Patrol card, which is very, very good, because that's what the monsters do. The little guys and the Link 2, they special summon them out and then equip immediately, so they immediately become quick effects, which is very strong disruption. I mean, banishing spells and traps as a quick effect is actually not that bad. I think Moark is probably generally going to be the better one, which is very good because it's the most popular attribute in the game at Dark. Very important. But yeah, we've got a ton of stuff, right? I think both of these are very, very good. So one of the things that's like interesting here is that a lot of people are saying right now that the deck doesn't have enough. The deck doesn't have enough going on for it right now. And I get that. I totally am into that. I believe that theory 100%. You've got 4 copies of this card with a Terraforming. You've got 3 of this, that's 7 cards. You've got 3 of this guy, which is 10 cards. And you've got 3 of this guy, which is 13. You're really only able to play legitimately 13 copies of Plunder Patrol cards in your main deck right now. And I just think the deck is missing a little bit. In terms of monsters, you can only even have 10 cards that get you to these guys turn 1, which is definitely a flaw. It's definitely a consistency flaw, especially if you get hand trapped on Shipyard, a Shipyard's effect to search. You may not even be able to get to one, and so you can lose out big time. So that's definitely a big deal. The deck definitely has specific choke points. Just if you can negate these guys before they trigger on your turn as the opponent, you can shut them down for like the entire turn, even being able to get to their stuff. But they also have very just strong, like, positives. Like that's one of the things. Like every deck has positives and negatives. I think the positives are very, very strong so far in terms of the mechanics, saving you a ton of material usage that otherwise other decks have to use a ton of materials for. This deck does not. But I think also the way that this deck works, the way the main deck monsters work, also lends it to be choked in some ways at certain points while you're trying to make plays on your opponent's turn. You can be choked and then miss out on having any disruption for your opponent. Could also be a huge, minus there. And overall, the deck's just missing cards. The other thing the last thing would probably be when people look at your extra deck monsters, you're like, how are you going to have a deck that has to rely on your opponent controlling a certain attribute when you only have water, fire, and dark? You only have one of the 3 most popular monster attributes anyway. Your fire and water are not crazy popular. Fire's only kind of relevant because of Salamangreat. Water is not even really relevant right now. Like Marinsas aren't doing anything. Paleos aren't doing anything. We'll see if they can, rise up a little bit. But right now they're not doing anything. And so it's kind of awkward. Where like wind could be good in various niche situations, but we're really missing light and earth more so. But hopefully we get 3 there. So if you were to ask me, and you were to say, we know we're getting support in the next set. They did not. We have no idea how many. I would say this deck needs 7 more cards, at least. At least that's like what I would say is like what I'd like to see, right? So when we're looking at like what you need, we probably need 1 to 2 more main deck monsters. We'll say 2 just cause. Why not have more than the bare minimum, right? So we'd say 2 more main deck monsters for consistency. I mean, right now we can at most have 10 copies of that, and that's if you want to max out on them. And let's be honest, Redbeard is nowhere near as good as Whitebeard. So I think I wouldn't blame anybody if they wanted to say, I want to play Redbeard at 2. I don't want to draw too many monsters in my deck. Totally fine. That works for me. So you could definitely, like, if they got 1 or 2 more main deck monsters, you could definitely cut down certain copies of other ones, and you could use your field spell to get whichever one is best in whatever situation, and that could be very good consistency-wise. Spells and traps, I feel like there's going to be something where we get 1 or 2 more spells or traps. These feel like nice, but I feel like there's something missing. But I almost don't even know what it is. Or there's some sort of support that we're missing. The deck can set up 1 disruption, but maybe they're missing 1 good trap that's like a disruption in and of itself. So you can set up one of the monsters, which is a good, like Moark with the quick effect to banish, but also maybe you could set up, I don't know. I know Konami's been giving out a lot of counter traps to a lot of newer archetypes that they want to make good. You could give them just a regular trap, a continuous. If they got a weird floodgate, that'd be pretty busted. You can't give whatever. But like, you know what I mean? Like some kind of disruption. Maybe it's a quick play spell. That'd be even better because it'd be able to play going second as well. And then maybe some spell card as well. Maybe a equip. I wouldn't be surprised. Like that's what the extract monsters want to do is. Be summoned with a Plunder Patrol card equipped to them so that they can be triggered as quick effects. Well, what if you just got a spell card and the spell card did something extra but also just equipped? That would be really, really nice. And also this card's second effect would be even better with something like that, being able to reset itself and add that equip back to hand to activate it maybe on another monster. Or if you want to reactivate it again or add something on activation, you'd be able to trigger it again. Something like that. So there's a lot of potential there. So I would expect like some kind of disruptive trap and maybe an equipped spell. And then the last one is pretty obvious, just a wind, an earth, and a light extra deck monster, just so no matter what, even if you don't see the cards that maneuver your opponent's attributes, like the trap, anything like that, like mess with them in that kind of way, you can still get into a boss monster, a boss monster. No matter what it is, it can be something, which is better than nothing, and hopefully it ends up being good in the matchup there, which is really nice. And the fact that they're quick effects on your opponent's turn to tag into them is really nice, because you get to see what they're playing. You get to see when is the best time to trigger it. Obviously, sometimes they can force you into it, but at least you can do it, hopefully, as long as they have a monster engrave and other stuff. And also the link also you can't discount, because he can just automatically get you, well, as long as you... Part of it's just rough, right? Because your opponent does have to put the stuff in grave. But still, he does help you with versatility and being able to get into stuff on your own turn as well. I don't know. I really want to talk about this deck because it's just like, it's the deck, one of the newer decks. It's the newest deck that like is the most exciting to me at the moment. I definitely want to get all this stuff before anything insane happens to get revealed for them and immediately make them a tier 1 contender and all their cards shoot through the motherfucking roof. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know your thoughts on this deck. I'm so curious. I want to know everybody's thoughts on this deck because I've got thoughts about it. I think it's a huge potential. I think it just has an insane potential as a start. We're definitely going to find out where it goes from here, if the potential gets capitalized on or not. But it's definitely a really good start, and I'm really excited to see where the deck goes from here. But like I said, let me know your guys' thoughts down below. If you want to see more discussions coming up here, maybe on some newer decks, maybe on Adamantia, or once they reveal like Golden Lords, or the new plant archetype and do stuff like that, or some of the other stuff, whatever, I don't care. I'm down to talk about it. I love talking about new decks. It's really fun for me, and I'm gonna leave it off there. Bye guys, thanks for watching. I love you. Peace.